So my wife and my brother had a kid, and they kept it from me. When I flat out refused to help pay for the thing, my mom went ballistic at my workplace. She was screaming, making a whole scene. It was a total nightmare. It all started about a year back when he contacted me out of the blue. We hadn't spoken in ages. You see, he was always the favorite growing up, the golden boy. My parents practically worshipped him. I was just there. They weren't mean or anything, but I was definitely second best, always in his shadow. They made sure he got everything, the best of everything. That's probably why I split when I turned 18. Never looked back. We barely talked. I built my own life, got a good job, got married, tried to make something of myself. Then last year he hit me up, saying he and mom and dad missed me and wanted to fix things. I don't know what possessed me, but I said okay. I guess I wondered if people could change. Maybe they really wanted to make amends, so I let him back in. At first, things seemed normal. He started coming around more, and I introduced him to my wife. They seemed to get along just fine, or so I thought. A few months later, though, I started noticing weird stuff. He was over all the time, even when I wasn't around. My wife would just wave it off, saying they were just hanging out, but I couldn't shake this awful feeling. It just didn't feel right. About 4 months ago, my wife told me we were going to have a baby, and I was totally thrilled. We were married, and things seemed good between us. I just figured, hey, it's my kid. But something just didn't feel right. My brother started coming around more, and whenever I saw him and my wife together, there was this weird vibe, a tension I couldn't explain. He'd make these jokes about the baby, touching her belly and saying stuff that made me squirm. I kept trying to tell myself I was being paranoid. I wanted to trust my wife, you know? But the more I thought about it, the less it added up. One night after she went to sleep, I just couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed her phone while she was sleeping and started snooping through her texts. And there it was, the stuff I was dreading to find. She'd been seeing my brother for months, and the baby wasn't even mine. It was his. I felt sick to my stomach. I just sat there for what felt like forever, staring at the screen, trying to wrap my head around it. Finally, I woke her up and confronted her. She tried to deny it at first, but when I showed her the messages, she couldn't keep the lie going. She confessed everything. She'd been sleeping with my brother behind my back, and they were planning on telling me once the baby was born. When the baby came, I couldn't believe it. I just grabbed my things and left. The next day, I called my parents, hoping for once they'd be on my side. But nope, they took my brother's side. They kept saying he messed up, that I should be the bigger person and just forgive him, all for the family's sake. I couldn't believe it. My own family, who I hadn't seen in ages, was pushing me to forgive the guy who wrecked my marriage. That's when I knew I was done with them all. I told my folks I wanted nothing to do with them or my brother, so I started the divorce. I figured that'd be the end of it. But it didn't stop there. During the divorce, my ex tried to get everything I owned. Her and my brother cooked up this story, making me look like some controlling jerk. Naturally, my family went along with it. It was like I was the bad guy in some messed-up movie, with them all playing the victims and me the villain. She ended up taking a huge chunk of my money, but at least I kept the house, which was a small win. So now I'm divorced, cut off from everyone, trying to rebuild my life. It's been 2 months since everything blew up, and I'm still trying to figure out how to move on. I'm working my tail off and trying to concentrate on myself, but it's not easy. Sometimes something happens that reminds me of everything, and it all comes crashing back. But you know what? I'm done with them. My brother, my ex, and my parents can have each other. I don't need them. For as long as I can remember, I've always been the second fiddle, the one nobody really noticed. I'm just not doing that anymore. I don't know what's coming next, but I know one thing for sure. They're never getting a foot back in my door. Believe it or not, things got even uglier after that. When I walked away from my ex and decided to cut off my family, I figured they'd just leave me alone. Seriously, I was done with all of them. My wife had an affair with my own brother, my parents sided with him, and I was through. But it wasn't that easy. About a month after the divorce was finalized, my mom called out of the blue. Keep in mind, I hadn't spoken to her since the day I walked out, when she basically told me to forgive my brother for wrecking my life. I didn't really want to talk, but she kept calling. Finally, I answered, just to see what she wanted. She immediately went into a guilt trip, going on and on about family being family and how we all needed to stick together no matter what. She said my brother was having a rough time, having trouble finding a job, and with a kid now, they were broke. She said they were living off the money my ex-wife got in the divorce, but it was running out, and they needed more. Then she dropped the big one. She asked me to help them out. Yep, you read that right. It was the same family that totally screwed me over when my wife ran off with my own brother, and now they wanted money to keep things afloat. Seriously, I almost lost it when she asked. I was just thinking, are you kidding me right now? You want me to help the guy who slept with my wife? You expect me to bail them out of their mess? but she just kept rambling on about how they were having a hard time, how it wasn't fair to the baby, and how I should be the bigger person. I couldn't believe it. After everything they put me through, they had the nerve to ask me for help. I told my mom, straight up, no way. I wasn't giving them a single cent. I told her they could figure it out themselves, just like I had to do after they all abandoned me, but she wouldn't let it go. She started bawling, saying I was selfish, that I wasn't thinking about the kid, and that my brother was really sorry and just deserved another chance. She was trying to make me feel guilty for not helping them, but I wasn't falling for it. I told her it was their problem, not mine, and I wasn't getting involved. I hung up the phone, thinking that was the end of it, but nope. A few days later, my brother showed up at my place. I have no idea how he found out where I lived, but there he was at my door like nothing had happened. I didn't want to let him in, but he wouldn't leave. So I figured I'd listen to him just to get him to go away. Okay, here we go. First off, he started by saying he was sorry. He admitted he screwed up, that none of this was what he meant to happen. He said he and my ex, they didn't plan for things to get this far, and he never imagined it would mess me up so bad. I just looked at him, wondering if he actually believed what he was saying. How could he not figure it would crush me? This guy stole my wife and my shot at having a family, and now he's acting like it was all a mistake. Then he hit me with the news that he'd been having trouble finding a job since the affair went public, and they were really hurting now that they had a baby. He knew I was good at my job, he said, and he was hoping I could help him out until he got back on his feet. I didn't know if I should laugh or just haul off and deck him. Seriously, this guy sleeps with my wife, gets her pregnant, and now he wants me to give him money. I just stood there not knowing what to say. Finally, I told him to get the hell out. I told him he and my ex made their bed and now they could lie in it. I wasn't going to help them, and I definitely wasn't giving him any cash. He started going on about how I was being immature and holding a grudge, but I wasn't buying any of it. I told him he was lucky I didn't lay him out right then. Then everything changed. My brother, who's usually so full of himself and always acting superior, just blew up. He just starts going off on me, going on about how I was always jealous of him and bitter because his folks always favored him. He actually said I was refusing to help out because I was still holding a grudge since my ex picked him over me. I was just standing there, completely flabbergasted. This dude actually thinks he's the one getting the short end of the stick. He kept repeating that it wasn't fair, that I wouldn't lend a hand, and that since he has a kid now, I needed to just get over it. He even had the nerve to tell me I should be grateful that he stepped in because my ex didn't want me anymore. I was done. Straight up, I told him to get out before I called the cops. There was no way I was going to let him say that stuff to my face like I hadn't lost everything because of him. He finally left, but not before he took one last shot, saying I'd regret not helping him, that someday I'd need something from him and he wouldn't be there. I just laughed right in his face, telling him I'd rather live on the streets than ever ask him for a thing. After that, I really hoped they'd finally leave me alone. But of course, that was just wishful thinking. About a week later, my dad calls. Now, I hadn't spoken to my dad since the divorce, and I figured he wanted the same thing. My mom and brother had already tried guilting me into helping them, and yep, I was right. He started off all calm, asking how I was and pretending everything was just fine. I wasn't in the mood for that, so I cut him off and asked what he wanted. So my dad launches into this whole thing about how I'm the only one in the family who's actually doing okay right now, and how my brother and ex-wife are having a rough time. He's going on and on about how we need to stick together as a family, and that I should help them out because they have a baby to think about. I just flat out told him, nope, I'm not helping them, and that I really didn't care what was going on with them. He started in on me saying I was being selfish and not seeing the bigger picture. He tried to guilt-trip me, saying if I didn't help now, I'd regret it later because family is everything. But you know what? I've been through enough to know that's not how it works. Family isn't always who you're related to. It's the people who have your back when everyone else walks away. And my family. They abandoned me the minute they decided my brother's happiness was more important than mine. So I told my dad the same thing I'd told my mom and brother. I was done. I wanted nothing to do with them, and I wasn't going to be their backup plan anymore. I hung up, blocked their numbers, and haven't looked back since. All right, so this is where things went from bad to totally insane. After telling my dad I was done and blocking them, I figured that was the end of it. How many times can they ask, right? Turns out I was dead wrong because they weren't finished yet. My ex-wife was the second person to try and contact me. So the woman who cheated on me with my own brother, yeah, that woman got pregnant by him, and she actually thought I'd listen to her. It started with a text out of the blue. Something like, I know you don't want to talk, but I really need to explain. I didn't even bother replying. Explain what? She messed everything up, that's all there was to it. Apparently ignoring her wasn't clear enough, though. A couple days later, this unknown number calls. I answer, and it's her. My ex. I was about to hang up, but then she started crying, said she didn't know who else to turn to. Blah, blah, things are falling apart with my brother. He lost his job, they're broke. And then bam, you gotta help for the baby's sake. Seriously, help them after everything. I told her straight up, no, it's not my problem. You made your mess, now clean it up. But she wouldn't stop. She admitted she messed up, but expected me to be all understanding 'cause we were married once. Like that should mean something. She even tried pulling the remember all the good times card, trying to make me forget she destroyed our marriage by sleeping with my brother. Thing is, I wasn't even mad anymore. I was just exhausted, completely drained, tired of her, tired of him, just plain worn out. I was just so fed up with my whole family acting like I owed them something after everything they'd put me through. So I just flat out told her, I don't owe you a thing. You're with my brother now and he's your problem, not mine. That's when she started getting really desperate. She started in with the whole, what about the baby? Don't you care about him? He could have been yours. And honestly, that stung a little. I mean, I've always wanted kids. And for a second there, I really thought I was going to be a dad. But then I snapped back to reality. The baby wasn't mine. And honestly, it wasn't my problem anymore. I told her, look, he's not mine and it's not my job to take care of him. Or you've got your whole family who sided with you, remember. Go ask them for help. And I was done. I figured they'd get the message and just leave me alone. Surprise, surprise, they didn't. A few days later, I'm at work just trying to survive the day when my manager comes over to my desk. He looked kind of awkward, which was weird because we usually get along great. He says, hey man, there's someone here to see you. I'm thinking who the heck would come to my job, so I go out to the lobby and guess who's standing there? My freaking mother. I was about to lose it. Who shows up at someone's work without calling. When I walked in, she immediately zeroed in on me. She says, why are you ignoring us? We're family and family doesn't just ditch each other. I tell her, I'm not ditching anyone. I'd had it, but she wouldn't let up. Right there in the lobby, she started bawling, telling everyone how I was punishing the whole family for one mistake. She said my brother was really hurting and that they were all suffering because of me. I stared straight at her and said, you're not hurting because of me. You're hurting because you chose his side after he blew up my marriage. That's on you, not me. Then she started saying they never thought things would get this bad and just wanted to fix things. I didn't buy it, not even a little bit. I told her I wasn't going to argue with her while I was at work, and if she wanted to talk, she could call me. Once I unblocked her number, that would be the end of it. Then she started lecturing me about how I was better than this and that she taught me to forgive. I almost laughed. Yeah, right. The same parents who spent my childhood acting like my brother was the son and I didn't even exist. Got it. I told her if she didn't leave, I'd have security escort her out. That's when she lost it completely. She started screaming at me, calling me selfish, and saying I was letting my pride stop me from helping my family. I just stood there, so done with the whole thing. Finally, she stormed off, still yelling about how I'd regret this. I went back to my workspace, and my boss just gave me this look like, seriously, what was that? I didn't even try to explain. What was I supposed to say? Sorry, my mom showed up to guilt me into handing over cash to my brother who screwed my wife over. That go over well. I just told him it was a family thing and left it at that. The rest of the day, I was just out of it, trying to focus on work. But all I could think about was how my family went from just doing me wrong to straight up harassing me. They were showing up at my job now. What's next? Were they gonna be parked outside my apartment that night? That was it. I'd had enough. I sent one last text to my mom, dad, brother, and even my ex-wife. Same message to all of them, don't contact me again. I'm done with you all and I don't want anything to do with you. Stop harassing me or I'm getting a restraining order. Maybe it was harsh, but I was done. I already lost my marriage, the future I wanted, and any chance of having a normal family life. I wasn't gonna let them keep dragging me down. You know what? For the first time in months, I felt a sense of peace after hitting send on those texts. It felt like I'd finally taken charge of my life, even if it meant cutting off the people who were supposed to love me the most. And honestly, I don't regret it, not one bit. We'll see if they actually leave me alone now. But I have a feeling this isn't over. I hit send on that last, desperate text, begging my family to leave me alone, really hoping for some peace and quiet finally. Seriously, how many times do you gotta tell people to back off before they get it? Turns out my family doesn't get boundaries, because Dad showed up at my apartment less than a week later. No call, no text, just there. Standing at my door like nothing happened. I opened it, and there he was, all casual, like he was just popping in for a chat. That fake smile he uses when he wants something. Yep, he had it plastered on his face. I knew right then this wasn't gonna be a fun visit. He starts with, "Son, we need to talk." And I'm already ticked off. Seriously, what now? Haven't they done enough already? I practically threw myself outside, slammed the door, and told him to get to the point. I wasn't in the mood for a guilt trip or another money-grubbing session. He jumped right in, no pleasantries this time, straight to the point. "Your brother and your mother are struggling," he says. "Things are bad and they really need help. You're doing well, right? You could easily lend a hand." I couldn't believe it. After everything, this was still their main concern, making sure my brother was okay while I was completely ignored like I wasn't even there. I cut him off, told him straight up, "I'm not giving them money, I'm not helping them, and this conversation is over." But he wasn't done. He kept pushing this family sticks together crap, saying we were all struggling and I needed to help out. Help out. The nerve. I've busted my butt my whole life and they've treated me like dirt. I told him straight up, "You've never been there for me, not once. Where were you when my wife was screwing my brother? You were on their side, not mine, so don't even start with the step-up nonsense." He just stood there, stunned. I guess he didn't expect me to fight back. Then he tried the guilt trip, naturally. He started in about how we'd made mistakes, but we were still family, always would be. Like saying family erases all the pain they'd caused. I was done playing nice. "Family," I said. "You're not my family anymore, not after everything. You threw me away for him, and now you want me to bail you out. No way." He got defensive, saying I was being dramatic, needed to let go of the past. He said my brother messed up, but I overreacted by cutting everyone off. Overreacted. That word sent me over the edge. Overreacted. My wife slept with my brother. The kid she's raising should have been my kid. You all just watched it happen and then expected me to pretend it never happened. Seriously, you're here asking for my help now. I wouldn't say I'm overreacting. I'm just drawing the line. He looked really shook up, but he was trying to hold it together. He said we never thought things would get this bad. They just wanted to keep the family happy, you know? I couldn't believe my ears. Keep the peace. How can you let my brother ruin my marriage and call that keeping the peace? But honestly, that's just how they always are. They always try to pretend everything's okay, like nothing's wrong, and then expect me to just go along with it. I told him that keeping the peace really just means ignoring the actual problem. You've all been ignoring me my whole life, acting like everything's fine as long as my brother's happy. Well, I'm not ignoring it anymore. I'm done with all of it. With that, I turned and started walking back to my door. But of course, he wasn't done. He grabbed my arm, which was a stupid thing to do. I yanked my arm away and said, "Don't touch me." He looked at me like he didn't even know who I was. I think he really thought I'd break down and give in like I used to when I was younger. But I'm not that person anymore, and I wasn't about to let them guilt trip me into doing what they wanted. Before he left, he tried one last guilt trip. He said, "You'll regret this. Someday you'll see that family is all that matters." I looked him right in the eyes and said, "Nope. Respect's what matters, and I haven't gotten any from you or anyone else in this family, so I'm not gonna regret this." He just stood there for a sec like he was gonna say something, but then he shook his head and walked off. When I went back inside, I sat and tried to make sense of it all. No matter what I did, they just couldn't get it I wasn't gonna be part of their drama anymore. They couldn't handle me not playing by their rules. It drove them crazy. A little part of me hoped after all this time they'd see how messed up they'd been. Maybe they'd apologize, admit they hurt me, but that was just me hoping for a miracle. They don't get it. They never will. To them, I'm the bad guy for leaving. I'm the one tearing the family apart. But guess what? I'm okay with that. If standing up for myself makes me the villain in their story, fine. I'll be the villain. I'm not letting them guilt trip me back into being their puppet again. After Dad left, I blocked him too. No more surprise visits or calls. I couldn't handle it. I knew they'd keep trying, but at least for now I could breathe. Or so I thought. The phone rang again. It was an unknown number. I sent it to voicemail, figuring it was another one of their attempts. So I checked the message later, and it wasn't my family at all. It was a lawyer. My ex-wife was trying to sue me for more alimony. That was it. I'd had enough. I'm not the guy I used to be. I've learned a hard lesson. Sometimes you gotta fight back. That's what I'm doing now, getting ready for this legal fight. I've been through the ringer, and if they want to keep pushing me around, they're gonna get pushed right back. They're not gonna win this time. I'm done being a doormat. This lawyer left a message saying my ex was trying to squeeze more money out of me, and honestly, that was my breaking point. I wasn't letting her or my family keep messing with my life. Enough was enough. First things first, I called my own lawyer. I laid everything out for him, my ex trying to get more money, my family constantly bothering me, the whole mess. He was just as sick of it as I was. He said, "Let's put a stop to this once and for all," and that's exactly what we did. We started building a case. Turns out she didn't have a prayer. She already got a pretty good settlement in the divorce, so there was no reason for her to be asking for more. But you know how it is with some people. They'll keep pushing until they get what they want or someone stops them. I decided then and there I wasn't letting her walk all over me anymore, and I wasn't letting my family keep controlling me either. My lawyer and I put together a bulletproof defense. We actually found some legal tricks that might let me skip alimony altogether. That's when things got wild. A couple days before we had to go to court, my brother, that guy reached out. He sent me a long email trying to be the wise older bro. It was all about how he felt bad and how he missed me. I could practically hear him faking sincerity. He even tried to say the affair wasn't what it looked like, that it was a mistake and they didn't mean to hurt me. Right, a mistake that went on for months and ended up with a kid. I just ignored the email. What was the use? I knew he was just trying to save them from losing the alimony, trying to make me feel guilty, but I wasn't gonna budge. I was done with both of them. They had their chance to fix things and screwed it up over and over. So the court date shows up and I was ready. My lawyer had everything together and we were ready to handle anything they threw at us. My ex and her lawyer walk in and guess who was with them? My brother backing them up. I wasn't shocked, but it still hurt to see them like they hadn't wrecked my life. They didn't even seem embarrassed or ashamed. They just sat there, murmuring to each other, trying to look all innocent and wronged. When we finally got our chance to talk, my lawyer laid it all out. He told the judge how my ex was already getting plenty from the divorce, and just because things weren't going great for her didn't mean she deserved more. He also brought up how she hadn't been honest during the divorce, hiding the fact that she and my brother had been together for months before it was even final. We basically showed everyone she didn't deserve another dime. Her lawyer tried to say she needed more money for the baby, not even my kid, but that didn't fly. My lawyer shot that down right away, saying I wasn't responsible for their child, and the judge seemed to be on the same page. And get this, my lawyer had also gathered a bunch of evidence showing how my family had been harassing me for the past 3 months, texts, showing up at my place, even my mom coming to my work. He showed it to the judge as proof they were trying to pressure me into giving them money. The court wasn't impressed, and you could see it on my ex's face when she realized she wasn't winning. In the end, the judge sided with me. Not only did my ex not get any more money, but they even lowered the amount I was already paying. That judge saw right through her act, and she decided she wasn't getting away with as much as she thought. Honestly, it was the best possible outcome I could have hoped for. After the ruling, my ex and my brother just bolted out of the courthouse, not even a word to me. I could practically see the anger and disappointment all over their faces, and you know what? It felt amazing. For the first time in this whole mess, I felt like I'd actually won. I wasn't the one getting stomped on anymore, but it didn't stop there. My dad started calling me again. A few days after the court thing, he left a voicemail going on about how I'd messed up the family and was tearing them all apart. I didn't even listen to the whole thing. I just deleted it and blocked his number again. I wasn't going to let them pull me back into their mess. I was done, truly done this time, and honestly, I feel free now for the first time in ages. I don't feel the burden of my family's expectations, my ex's lies, or my brother stabbing me in the back. I'm just me. I've cut them all off and I'm focusing on myself. It's not always easy and it still hurts when I think about what happened. But I'm not going to let it control my life anymore. Since the court case, I've been pouring myself into work, hanging out with my friends, and just trying to live my life. I'm not going to lie and say everything's perfect right now. It's not. I still get pissed off sometimes and wonder what could have been if things had gone differently. These days, those happy times are few and far between. Honestly, I'm better off without them. My family, and especially my ex, were just toxic. It took me forever to realize it, but I eventually did. There's no going back to that mess. I've got a fresh start now, and I'm not about to blow it. So that's the end of that chapter. My family tried to mess me over, and my ex tried to take more than her fair share, but in the end, I won. I haven't the slightest clue what the future holds, but for the first time in ages, I'm actually excited to see. And if they ever try to come back into my life, well, let's just say I'm not scared to stand up for myself anymore. Okay, here's where things got wild after the divorce and cutting off my family. I'd had enough of their games, but as they say, right? When it rains, it pours. I really should have known they wouldn't just leave me alone. I got a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in ages, my aunt. Let me tell you a little about her. She's my dad's sister, and we were never exactly close. She seemed to steer clear of all the family drama when I was growing up, so I never really thought much about her. But she apparently keeps tabs on everything because she heard about the divorce and reached out. At first, I thought she was just checking in, seeing how I was. But nope, she had her own reasons for getting in touch. just like the rest of my family. She started off by saying how worried she was about Mom and Dad and how all this had messed up the family. Then she asked me if I'd think about talking to them again. She said they were really hurting without me and that it wasn't too late to make things right. Honestly, I was floored. Like, are you kidding me? After everything that went down, I'm supposed to be the one to fix things. I told her flat out that I wasn't interested in fixing anything. I made it crystal clear that they were the ones who threw me under the bus, not the other way around, and I wasn't going to act like everything was okay just because they were feeling bad now. She tried to lay on the guilt trip with stuff like, "Your dad's not getting any younger," and "family is all you've got in the end." I'd heard it all before, you know. It didn't work then, and it sure as hell wasn't working now. I told her the same thing I told my parents. I don't owe them a thing. I wasn't gonna pretend everything was peachy just because they decided they wanted me back in their lives. She didn't take it well. She got all defensive, saying that Mom and Dad were only trying to do what was best and that I needed to let go of all this anger. I wasn't even really mad anymore, just tired of going over the same stuff. I told her that if she really cared about the family, she should have stepped in when everything was happening instead of showing up now when it was convenient for her. The conversation just ended after that. She said she was disappointed in me, which I thought was kind of a joke. Disappointed? Seriously. Who in this whole family has ever even tried to stick up for themselves? But whatever, I get it. So here I am. They're still pulling at me, trying to reel me back in, making me feel guilty for not getting sucked into their mess. But I'm not biting. I'm way too far gone to turn back now. I've got my own life to build, and I'm not about to waste it fixing their problems.